Hey guys, Rico here, back with another exciting video. It's been a wild beginning of the year. I mean, just like 2020, 2021 ain't no different, at least so far. And well, we all know things aren't really going to change overnight or magically change anytime soon. But I've got some good news for you. The stock market and them stimulus checks, they're always going to be around to cheer you up. So I've got you covered. In this video, I am going to share with you when and how much we should expect in the next stimulus checks. And I'm going to share with you my weekly stock watch list for this specific week and what we look into as when we go through intradays opportunities or intra-week, otherwise known as swing trade. But these are the type of opportunities or trade that you make on a weekly basis. These are the type of trade or move that a stock can make on a weekly basis, and how much advantage you can pretty much take to try and build up your profit slowly according to whatever plan you have. Most traders always have a plan, and they always want to build up their wealth or their profit consistently as they're moving all the way up to whatever, plan they've got or whatever goal they're set. And this is what we're going to talk about, the type of trade that you get in when it's really, really cheap and you get out when you think it's made a good enough move for you to profit from. So before we get into the stimulus and talk about how much and when you should probably be expecting the next checks, first, let's talk about my weekly watch list for this week. There's only 3 of them, and just stick with me. We'll get into it. All right. First on the list, it is Fubo TV. Ticker symbol Fubo, F-U-B-O. Fubo is a TV streaming service that's mostly focused on sport. Basically a sports streaming service. I mean, since we've all been subjected to kind of this new way of living and there hasn't been much of physical stuff to do, we've all turned to like online streaming from Netflix, YouTube, obviously, and podcast and everything else, Spotify and all that. And there has been a lot of focus on sports because there's not really much to do. You watch a lot of sport. If you like sport, you watch a lot of sport. And Fubo TV is one of the streaming services that literally offers a lot of different channels and options for sports that you can stream from. And just like any other streaming companies, Fubo has been growing really, really fast because the attention has been brought to them during this time. And with the Tokyo Olympic that was supposed to be happening in 2020 and has been delayed to this year, Fubo is pretty much one of the companies that's set to the forefront to be profiting from, streaming these type of, games and services that's going to be going on in the next few months. In the last month or so, we saw it run massively from around $26 a share all the way to $62 per share. But just like Newton's third law of physics says, every action always has an equal opposite reaction. So just like it ran massively all the way up, it pretty much cooled down just as fast all the way down. And that's exactly what we wanted to see, because it cooled down all the way down to, as of right now and as of the time of this recording, it is around $30.74 to be exact. And as you look at the chart, you would realize that it has created this support level somewhere around 29, and it's been bouncing back from there. Just think about it this way. When you take a tennis ball and then you throw it in the air, it's only gonna go high by so much before it actually comes back down. Either it will come back to the point of origin, which was your hand, or it will cross the point of origin and go all the way to the ground and bounce back. Even if it doesn't go all the way back to where it was, but it's still gonna bounce back to a certain level to where you're probably gonna be able to pick it up, or even higher than the initial level, which again is still your hands, and then probably will come back. You want to make sure you get in when it bounced and then you get out before it loses the momentum again to drop back. That's why I call them weekly watch list. And as we can see, Fubo has been bouncing back around this level, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it run this week all the way up to probably 35. So a $5 move in between. It could be an intraday or it could happen over the course of a few days. But looking at the possibilities and what it is showing, I wouldn't be surprised to see it run up at least a little bit before maybe cooling down back a little bit more. For me, at least, that's a $5 gap that I'm looking at. And we all know to really be able to make any significant kind of money in the stock market, you need to hold at least 100 shares. And, a $5 move within 100 shares, it's $500. That's not bad. I'm choosing to be more conservative, to think it probably within this week, it's going to move by that much. Next, Excel Fleet, ticker symbol XL. XL Fleet is an electric vehicle company that actually doesn't produce electric vehicles, but instead they electrify existing gas conventional vehicles. To put it in simple word, they can actually take your vehicle, if you want it to become an electric vehicle, they can actually electrify it, and your vehicle will no longer be a gas run vehicle, but instead it will be an electric vehicle. Pretty cool, right? I know it's probably not gonna sound great, for individuals like you and me, but if you think about it in terms of companies that have huge fleet of vehicles, trying to replace all the vehicles in your company to electric, they're gonna cost you a lot of money. But it's probably gonna be easier to pay a smaller fee to have most or all your vehicle be electrified. That way you don't have to buy new cars, you just switch the way they function. So it had a massive run after the merger from $17 all the way to $35. And then again, just like with any massive runs, there's always the time when everything's got to cool down, which it did. And it has created a support level right around $19. So the possibility of it to bounce back this week, I can easily see it to trade this week as high as 22. I know it seems like a little from 19 to 22, but that's what traders do. We look for opportunities to buy something when it's cheap enough and be able to trade it, or, to sell it when we think we've made a substantial profit out of it. Because all you're trying to do is make the profit in between. And it's a pretty decent amount of money for a lot of people. And hey, every dollar counts. When you are a trader, every dollar counts. All right, let's move on to the third one and the last. Virgin Galactic, ticker symbol SPCE. It is an aerospace company mainly focused on space tourism. It basically is, and I believe it's going to be the first publicly traded company to actually bring commercial space tourism to individuals just like you and me. They already have a spacecraft which they already tested, and it was a successful test with human on board that went to space and then came back, landed safely. It really is showing signs of growth, and they really are delivering on a lot of things they're actually saying, compared to a lot of companies that talk about a lot of things and then they don't really, do anything, or at least honor whatever they say. Anyway, it's been running up big time actually since last week. It went from 24 when Cathy Wood, ARK Invest, announced that they were going to create an ETF for space stocks. It ran up from $24 a share all the way to slightly above $33 a share. And just like anything else, it cooled down right around $31 a share, slightly above as of right now at the time of this recording. But I'm still confident when you look at the chart and the possibility for this stock to run up even a little more higher. When you look at the daily chart, it's really pointing to an uptrend because it's been downtrending for quite a while. And that little cool down after a massive run. But when you actually look at the chart, there is an opportunity that I'm seeing, and I do believe that it could run all the way up to 35. At least, again, I'm being conservative here, but I think it could even go higher. Then I wouldn't be surprised if it gets there, which I think will be 35 from 31, slightly above that it is right now. And that is another opportunity that I think most traders, when we look at things like this, we always want to buy when you think it's cheap, or when we think a company has reached that support level where it hasn't been able to go lower than that. It always bounces back from that. It's like the ball I was talking about. It comes down, it always got to bounce a little bit, even if it doesn't go as high as it used to be, but it's still going to bounce back to a certain level. And that is what you want. You want to get in when you think it's bouncing back, and you get out when you think it's losing momentum. Remember that. All right, now, here comes the moment that we've all been waiting for, which is the stimulus check. So let's get into it. Well, just like we know, the $900 billion that was passed by Congress and signed into law on December 26th, that we all receive basically a $600 per person, including any eligible dependents. And we've all known there was a talk to be able to make the $600 at $2,000 per person, but then it passed in the House, but it was blocked into the Senate. And for the fact that it was blocked into the Senate, it couldn't be passed into a law, and it never actually happened. But just like just a quick recap, we both know that in the Congress, when they come up with legislations, it has to pass in the House, and then it's got to pass in the Senate. And once it does pass in both chambers, and then it has to be sent to the president to be signed into a law. And at that time, with the Trump administration, the House was mostly controlled, was majority Democrat, and the Senate was majority Republican. And every time the House would pass a bill, especially on the stimulus, and send it to the Senate, it would usually get roadblocks, and then it never passed, and then we don't get to see it. But now, as of last week, the president-elect Joe Biden has announced his first plan for the 100 days, and he announced his package, like the big relief package of $1.9 trillion, pretty much $2 trillion. And it still includes $1,400 of stimulus checks on top of the $600 that we already have. So if you add $1,400 per person, to basically round it to $2,000, including the $600. And that is what is proposing. And I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, but is this really going to pass, or is it going to be the same thing? Well, I need to remind you something, that with the new administration that's coming in, the Democrat also, they have managed, because the Democrats have been the one kind of pushing this idea for the $2,000. And they have now taken control of the Senate too, just like they've already have control over the House. So technically, they have the power to be able to pass this new stimulus package in both the House and the Senate, even if they don't get any Republicans vote or any Republican support. They can do it. But there are still politicians, so we don't know. Everyone have their own agenda, and we don't always know exactly. For once, they might be united because they're going against another party. But on the other side, when they have control, we never know what everyone's agenda is going to be, or what they might want to ask in return to vote for it. But so far, since we've seen them pushing for the idea of the $2,000 stimulus checks, this one pretty much means that they should be able to do that. Normally, to be able to pass something in the Senate, they need about 60 votes, which means right now the Democrats have about 50 seats, and so is the Republicans, but they technically need 10 Republicans to vote for it. If they were to try and pass the bill basically traditionally. But if they don't get any support from the Republican, they can use what is called a budget reconciliation. And using a budget reconciliation, they can pass any bill or any law that they wanted to. Instead of with the 60 vote, they only need 51 vote. And since they have 50 seats, they only need to break the tie for one vote, which the vice president-elect Kamala Harris, which is going to be the vice president, she will basically vote to break the tie. So technically, if the Democrat decide to use the budget reconciliation and to only have 51 vote, they can literally pass this bill without any Republican support. We could basically see it. And when is this going to happen? It seems to be on top and one of the Biden agenda. It seems to be something that he wants to see happen really soon. He's already talking about taking off from where most of these programs are supposed to be expiring from the previous $900 billion package in March and taking off from there and move forward. So that means he's going to have Congress do something between now and then, so that way there is no gaps in between and we don't have to see those back and forth. So now, is it going to be $1,400 extra, or is it actually going to be $2,000? Because now there's actually some more Democrat like AOC and Bernie Sanders and a few other progressive out there that I've heard started talking about how it should actually be $2,000, not $1,400, because the $600 was for another bill where we were trying to get $2,000, but people are suffering. A lot of people need help. Then instead of making it $1,400 to add up to the $600 to make it $2,000, no, let's make it a $2,000 stimulus checks. So technically on top of the $600, and now we'll have a total of $2,600 per person, including eligible dependents, technically. Is this going to happen? We don't know, but it's actually a talk. It's something that's being pushed out there, but a lot, like I said, some Democrats and some progressive out there. But one thing that I know for sure, there's actually a group of Republicans too that want to bring the $2,000 on the table, but they mostly are supporting to add the $1,400 to the $600 that we already seen. Again, this is politics. Pretty much just reporting, all the research that I put into, and I'm just telling you what it comes out. We don't know exactly how they're going to manage to do this, but all we know for sure is if the Democrat actually wanted to pass this, they can do it whether they have the support of Republicans or not, since they have been the ones pushing the idea of giving more money. But I also know that President-elect Biden has been asking to work together, and I'm sure he's going to try and work together with both sides to try and figure something out, so that way they can pass things together, or at least both parties will be involved in what they think the country needs, and everybody, especially for the people that have been suffering because of this pandemic. So hang on to your seat, guys. You might see another stimulus check coming up within, maybe the next few weeks. Again, you're probably going to see it coming in, because it seems like it is one of the number one priority, at least within this first 100 days, that the new incoming administration is promising to do. That was it about this video. Thank you guys for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Chibind Brothers. Thanks again. As for me, well, like always, I will see you in the next video.